Ladies, this is Miss Loden. We are continuing our study of Chapter 1, Section 2, where we are looking at and discussing the basics of functions. We're going to continue in Goal 6 by discussing the vertical line test and how we can use it to identify functions. So we're going to go through these two statements, and then I'm going to let you practice identifying whether or not the graphs below are functions. All right, so statement number 1, we're reviewing. You learned about the vertical line test probably in Algebra 1, and so at this point this is just a basic review to refresh your memory. So if any vertical line intersects a graph in more than one point, the graph, and you decide, does define y as a function of x or does not define y as a function of x. Take a moment and make that decision. Hopefully you stated that if any vertical line intersects a graph in more than one point, then the graph does not define y as a function of x. Let's discuss that by looking at these 4 examples below. Go ahead in the first graph and draw a vertical line through the function. You can remember, you can draw that vertical line in as many places as you would like. If I draw it in 3 different places, I feel like that's probably enough for me. Maybe the first one was enough. And now I want to double check, did my vertical line intersect the graph in more than one place? So this first vertical line only has one intersection point. The second only has one intersection point. The third only has one intersection point. So I can definitely confirm that this function passes the vertical line test, or this graph passes the vertical line test, so it is a function. I'd like you to pause the screencast and you complete the vertical line test for the remaining 3 examples. If it passes, please list that the graph is a function, and if it does not pass, please list that the graph is not a function. So let's check and see how you did. On the second graph, when I draw a vertical line through the function, I see that that vertical line passed through in 1, 2, 3 separate places. So there's really no need for me to draw an additional vertical line. I see that it does intersect at more than one point, so it does not define y as a function of x, so it fails the vertical line test, so it's not a function. In the third example, I draw a vertical line, and I see that it only intersects here at this one point. I've got this curved portion here, so maybe I'll just double check a couple of more places, and I can definitely confirm that each vertical line only intersects at one point each. So I can say that number 3 is a function. And then finally, the final example, the circle we have down here. One line's enough for me to see that this vertical line intersects in 2 points or more than 1 point, so this graph is not a function. So if you have questions for me, go ahead and jot those down in your notes next to Goal 6, and the next time you see me, I'll be happy to address those questions for you. Please make sure you move on to Goal 7 from here.